Hi, in the last lesson we looked at short division and we did a division like this one, 196 divided by 6. Now I'm going to quickly remind you how we did this sort of sum and then show you how we can write it as short division in a way that really saves space. Anyhow, in ordinary short division you write the sum out like this. It's the number you're dividing here with this line and curve and the number you're dividing by, the 6 here. Now there doesn't seem to be much point in this at the moment, but in short division the answer appears up here. Anyhow, the basic method is to take away lots of 6, being as efficient as we can. And what I mean by that is that we start by ignoring the units and just looking at the tens, 19 tens. And I want to know what the best number of lots of 10 sixes to take away is. So I'm asking, how many lots of 6 are in 19 tens? But I'm thinking, how many lots of 6 in 19? And the answer is 3. 3 lots of 10 sixes, or 30 lots of 6. And that's 18 tens, or 180. And now we have to take 180 away from 196, and here's the answer. It's 16. Now we repeat the step. What's the largest number of 6s we can take away from 16? Well, that's the 6 times table. 2 lots of 6, or 12. And when we do the subtraction this time, the answer is 4. We can't go any further. The answer is already here, 30 and 2, or 32 lots of 6 that we took away, and a remainder of 4. So the answer is 32, remainder 4. Now remember that we use an R for remainder. What I'm going to do now is to show you how to do this sum as short division. And the big difference is that you're not going to write down all of this stuff. We're only going to write as much as we need and no more. Let me show you. We start with the sum written out in the same way. Ignore the units and just work with the tens. And there are 19 tens. That's 190. But it doesn't matter if you just say 19 to yourself. So how many 6s are there in 19? Well, the answer's 3, and you write that up here. Now be very careful to put it into the correct column. You're working with the tens, whatever you're saying to yourself, so the answer goes in the tens column. Now, 3 lots of 6 is 18. We write the 18 here. Remember that this is 18 tens, but as long as everything is in the correct column, it won't be a problem. And now we have to take that 18 away from 19, and that's 1, which is really 110. And now it's time to bring the units back. There are 6 units here, so you bring them down and add them to the 110 to give you 16. Now just repeat. How many 6s in 16? It's 2. And 2 6s are 12. You're working with units, so the 2 goes into the units column. Then we take away 12 from 16, and we get 4. We can't go any further, so the answer is 32 with a remainder of 4. And when you write a sum down in this short division way, you don't write a single thing that you don't need. Now this 18 here is really 180, but you don't need to bother writing down the 0 because you don't need to. So long as you keep everything in columns, it all works. And the answer built up digit by digit along here. Now if I bring back the ordinary short division sum from earlier, you can see what we've saved. Now there's none of these notes about how many 6s we're taking away. That information is stored up here. There's no 0 here. Provided you keep it in the columns, you don't need it. And you don't have to add up the 30 and the 2. You do that as you go along. And you don't need a separate line for the answer. Now I think that you're really going to like short division. So let's do another one. Here it is. 283 divided by 7. And we haven't done this division before, so how about an estimate? Well, I think that this is close to 300 divided by 10. Not very close, but close. 300 divided by 10 is 30. So we'd expect the answer to be around 30, but perhaps not very close. So anyway, that's our estimate. And now for the sum. So let's write it out in the standard short division way, and we ignore the units, and then we look at the tens on their own. Now, how many 7s are there in 28? Well, there are 4 of them, so the 4 goes here. Now, 4 7s are exactly 28. So when we take 28 away from 28, it's no surprise that we get 0. But don't let that panic you, just carry on as normal and bring down the 3 units. Now, there's only 3 left. That's less than 7, and there are no 7s in 3, so we put a 0 here in the units column, and the 3 units must be our remainder. 40 remainder 3. Now, is that the right answer? Well, we estimated 30, but not very close, so that's okay. Notice how the estimate would have helped if we'd forgotten to write that 0. Now, without the 0, the answer would look like 4 remainder 3. But because we estimated 30, the answer of 4 would have made us think, and we'd have realised that we needed the 0 after all. So, 283 divided by 7 is 40 remainder 3. Okay, let's do another short division. It's this one. 524 divided by 6. First of all, an estimate. Well, I think this is close enough to 500 divided by 5. That's a nice 100. So we'll expect the answer to be about 100. And so that's our estimate. Let's start then by writing the sum out in the short division way. We ignore the units. And how many 6s are there in 52? Well, 8 times 6 is 48. So the answer's 8. And that's 48 to take away from 52. When we do that, we get 4. And we bring down the 4 units. And we've got 44. Now repeat. How many 6s are there in 44? Well, 7 times 6 is 42, so the answer's 7. And we've got 42 to take away from 44. We do that, we're left with 2, and that's less than 6, so there's nothing else that we can do, and the 2 is the remainder. So, 524 divided by 6 is 87, remainder 2. Now, is that right? Well, we estimated about 100, and I think 87 is close enough to 100, so we've done it. Now, I'm going to do another one of these, and this one will show you how really powerful short division can be. Here's the sum. 494 divided by 4. And we haven't done this one before, so we do need an estimate. And I'd say that 494 divided by 4 is about 500 divided by 4. Now that doesn't look too easy, but remember, to divide by 4, we can divide by 2 and then by 2 again. So 500 divided by 2 is 250, and 250 divided by 2 is 125. So I expect the answer to be about 125, and that will be our estimate. Now let's see. We'll write the sum down in the short division way. We ignore the units. And how many 4s are there in 49? Well, maybe you know that 12 times 4 is 48. So there are 12 4s in 49. Write that in there. And remembering that the columns are very, very important. Now we take the 48 away from the 49, that gives us 1, and then we bring down the 4 to make it 14. So, how many 4s are there in 14? Well, 3 times 4 is 12, so there are 3 4s in 14. We put the 3 in the units column, and we take 12 away from 14, which leaves 2. And that is our remainder. So, there is a nice, neat, short division. 494 divided by 4 is 123, remainder 2. But is that the right answer? Well, we estimated about 125, so yes, I think it is. Now, there weren't any problems with that division as long as we knew that 12 4s are 48. But let me show you how you can use short division even when you don't know that. Let's start over again with the same division. 494 divided by 4. Now, the last time I ignored the units and just looked at the tens. But there's no reason why I shouldn't start by ignoring both the units and the tens and just working with the hundreds. Now I'm looking at the much easier question. How many 4s are there in 4? Well, the answer's 1. So we write a 1 down, making sure that we put it in the hundreds column. Now, one lot of 4 is 4, and we have to take that away from 4, and of course that's 0. And now we bring down the tens figure, that's the 9, and so now we're asking how many 4s are there in 9? Well, that's easy as well. 2 4s are 8, so we can put a 2 here and then do another subtraction. 9 take away 8 leaves us with 1. And now we can bring down the units, that's the 4, and that leaves us 14. Final question now, how many 4s are there in 14? Well, 3 4s are 12, so we write a 3 here, and then we put the 12 down here, do the subtraction, which leaves 2, and that is our remainder. So, just as before, 494 divided by 4 is 123, remainder 2. Okay, you can always use short division like this, starting with the hundreds. But sometimes when you do, the hundreds digit can be smaller than the number you're dividing by. So let me just go back to one of the ones we did before and show you how you deal with that. Remember this one. 524 divided by 6. Now, last time we ignored the units and asked how many 6s are there in 52. Well, with this new way, working one column at a time, we ignore everything except the hundreds. So now we're asking how many 6s are there in 5. Well, there aren't any because 5 is less than 6, so the answer is 0. Now, of course, we don't usually write a 0 at the start of a whole number, so it's better to leave it out. Just as before, we have to look at the next digit and ask how many 6s are there in 52. Just like we did the last time we did this sum. And the rest of the sum is in fact the same as it was before. So, you can always do short division one column at a time. And that means that you're always getting the easiest questions to answer each time. And most important, you'll get the answers right. Now, as I've reminded you several times, short division is one of the methods that always works. So it has to be a method that you can do easily. That means practice. And I've got some for you now in your exercises. So good luck, and I'll see you again in the next lesson. Bye.